Well, the US versus Honduras CONCACAF Olympic Qualifier have just finished, and in the end, it's another failure for the US as they are going to be missing out on the Olympics once again after Honduras was able to win 2-1 in this game. And I know I tweeted this out right after when this game was finished, but this game really reminds me of what happened in that 2017 game between Trinidad and Tobago and the US. I mean, besides the fact that the scoreline, just like that game in 2017, was the same, the way how this game kind of plays out, where just like in that 2017 game, you can clearly see the players were definitely not up for it in this game, and that also like the 2017 game where the US found themselves in a 2-0 hole, which one of those goals, just like what happened in 2017, was a goal that no doubt was preventable. And then to add a little bit bonus to that comparison in that 2017 game, the only goal that the US scored in this one, which was an absolute banger from Jackson Yo, was kind of similar to how Christian Pulisic scored that banger of a goal against Trinidad and Tobago in 2017, and also kind of came right around the same time of the second half too. And most importantly, just like that game in the 2017 game the US played against Trinidad and Tobago, the US lost this game to fail to qualify for a tournament, and this time it's of course going to be at the Olympics, and now the US is going to have to wait 3 more years for their chance to qualify for the Olympics that is going to be happening, I believe, in Paris in 2024. So there was 5 changes in this game for the US, as Soto, Johnny, Salcedo, and Araujo and Pineda, all of them were not in the starting 11. Justin Glatt, Jonathan Lewis, Jesus Ferreira, Sam Vines, and Jackson Yo were back in the starting 11 in this game. And I also wrote that it was a hot day in Guadalajara because, you know, you knew it was going to be hot with the way that this game was kicking off at 4 o'clock, and that, you know, the temperature was soaring to around 90 degrees. It actually even got hotter as the game goes on, and there was one point when they actually showed the temperature was as hot as 92 degrees. Now, in the first half, Ochoa denied Obregon, who would have been offside if the goal actually counted, if he actually put this one into the back of the net. But this was kind of the first sign of trouble for the US in the defense, where they just got completely cut open by this Honduras attack. Thankfully, not only the fact that Ochoa was able to deny this one, but Obregon was in an offside position. And when I look on the replay, yeah, it was very, very close. And remember, in this tournament, there is no VAR, so whatever that decision was made by the ref is the final decision. But the CONCACAF Olympic Qualifier has VAR, which I'm assuming maybe in a couple of years they might implement VAR in this competition. They definitely would have look at that one if that one went into the back of net, because it was just millimeters between Obregon and I think it was Kessler, the last defender for the US, to potentially keep him just offside. Honduras was taking a couple of pot shots at Ochoa, I noticed, in the first 20 minutes of the game, and although most of these pot shots was outside the 18-yard box and Ochoa can easily just catch this one, I was kind of a little bit concerned the fact that the US was allowing Honduras to take these pot shots, because, you know, even though these pot shot was easily catched by Ochoa, you just kind of feel like they're getting more confident on the attack, and that eventually maybe one of these pot shot that they take will somehow end up into the back end. And also, as I'm going to talk about later on, judging by how Ochoa play in this game, you kind of feel like maybe you can caught him a little bit off guard with some of these pot shots that Honduras was taking in this game. Now, on the other end, the US attack, yeah, it was non-existent in the first half. I mean, everything about the US attack, I don't even want to say it's beyond poor. Like, it's if there is actually an adjective to describe something that is beyond poor, that pretty much just described what the US attack was. I mean, there was not only no movement on the ball whatsoever and being very slow on the attack, but the passing was absolutely shocking. The first touches just seems to be a huge problem too, where nobody could actually take a clean first touch. And I know some people will say, well, maybe that's due to the fact that, you know, it's the heat, and the fact that maybe this kind of throw off guard with the way that the US is trying to go on the attack, and maybe they're being a little bit slower so that they can conserve that energy for the second half. And also, I noticed today that the turf at the Estadio Jalisco, yeah, it was definitely very, very worn, and this was a pitch that's been used throughout this tournament and have hosted a numerous doubleheader games, so we knew that eventually the pitch was gonna wear out. But that being said, those are not valuable excuse in terms of why the U.S. attack just was non-existent whatsoever in the first half. And I just don't really get why there's even people say that they should be conserved their energy in the second half, because why not just go for it in the first half and maybe go up 1 or 2-0, get some confidence. Like, I would rather see a team that is playing on a hot day to really just go for it, just spend that energy and hope that they can maybe get 1 or 2 goal, rather than just save it and in the second half and then go from there. Because when you decide to do that, let's say if maybe Honduras does get 1 or 2 goals before the first half, now you're basically playing in the back foot, and now you're going to really hope that that energy you conserve in the second half is going to be enough to try to get a goal. So yeah, I just find that really, really strange that some people might have that argument of the fact that the US are just kind of conserving their energy for the second half. Now, in the 44th minute, Henry Kessler, I thought he got away with a yellow card after he basically completely brick wall Obregon and stopped a promising counterattack. But since this is CONCACAF, that probably is not going to be a yellow card. And there's no doubt that there was definitely a lot of very iffy decision that was made by the referee. And I know some US fans are also saying that this was probably the worst refereeing game throughout this CONCACAF Olympic Qualifier. But what did you expect? This is CONCACAF. Like that. Remember when I talked about that game against Costa Rica, where that was a very clean game and the referee actually did a great job. That I even said that was a shocking kind of way that the referee was doing a great job actually refereeing the game, because you just don't see that happen in CONCACAF. CONCACAF is always, in terms of referee, kind of like shithousery, and also just a lot of numerous bad calls that is made throughout each of the game, and that we kind of saw more of that in this game. And in some way, this basically just made me feel like, yeah, that's the CONCACAF I know of in the past, not only the Olympic Qualifier, but also in other CONCACAF competition. Now, right before the halftime, it looked like the U.S. was going to head to halftime 0-0, but then Honduras gets the breakthrough. And it's Obregon that actually scored this goal to make it 1-0 in favor of Honduras. There was a shout for a handball, because while Obregon was able to head this one in from a wonderful delivery by one of the Honduras player, Ochoa did get a hand to this ball, but unfortunately when he did try to pair this one out, it kind of came right back to Obregon, who it looked like maybe it hit his right arm a little bit. I mean, I didn't really get a good look at that. And that again, since there is no VAR in this tournament, since they said that goal was good, then that is pretty much the final decision. But again, that this was a goal that in some way I kind of had a feeling it was coming, knowing the fact that, as I mentioned, with Honduras taking some pot shot and getting more confident on the attack, eventually they're going to find a way to break through this U.S. defense that, I talked about how the attack in the first half was absolutely poor. The same goes with the defense. I thought the defense, there were a couple of times that they looked very iffy against this Honduras attack, and they were made to pay for right at the end of the half. So yeah, Honduras were up 1-0 in the first half and scored right on the stroke of halftime, which was one of the worst time for the U.S. to concede. But you know what is another time where the U.S. cannot afford to concede a goal? Right at the beginning of the second half. Because in the second half, before I finished writing, Saucedo was coming on for Mihailovic as the first substitution by Jason Christ. Honduras would make it 2-0. And this was an absolute goalkeeping howler from Ochoa. And, I feel bad for David Ochoa in this game, because I know after this game, a lot of people are going to blame on him and talk about the poor goalkeeping performance that he had. And maybe some would say that he's definitely not worthy to be a future U.S. men's national team goalkeeper. And maybe even RSL would look at this performance and say, yeah, maybe we're not going to give David Ochoa the starting spot heading into this upcoming season. But yeah, this was just kind of unfortunate, where he kind of did his best Loris Karius impression, where he tried to pass this one out of the back, but then Palmer was able to get his left leg and kind of intercept that one and tapped it into the back of the net. So yeah, just like that, Honduras was up 2-0 in this game, and you just kind of had a feeling that, yeah, the U.S. clearly they were absolutely deflated by this goal, and it could have been 3-0 just 5 minutes later when Reyes had a great chance to make it 3-0 after he missed after he missed one on the follow-up, and he actually had an empty net to shoot that one on the follow-up, but unfortunately he wasn't able to put away. But then 2 minutes later, Jackson Yu would score an absolute wonderful goal to make it 2-1 in this game in favor of Honduras, and certainly it looked like the momentum was back to the U.S., and it looks like the U.S. was started to maybe get a chance to try to get the equalizer, and the equalizer almost came in the 62nd minute when Lewis' header was clear off the line by Dequez. Honduras, you know, they were started to waste time, and they realized that the momentum was not with them, so they're going to decide to do what many CONCACAF teams would usually do, which is waste as much time as possible and trying to slow down the pace in this game and slow down the momentum of this game. But that being said, I thought the U.S., you know, in the second half, and especially after that Jackson Yu goal, they show more intensity and desperation on the attack, which that kind of also frustrates me, because now you start to show some desperation and attack. Like, you're 2-0 down and now 2-1 down, and now you show that intensity. Where in the world was that in the first half? And, you know, if they would have showed that same intensity and desperation, probably the U.S. wouldn't find themselves 2-0 down, or at this case 2-1 down during this part of the game. Now in the 68th minute, Jackson Yu almost had a chance to get the equalizer on the free kick from 20 yards out, but the Honduras goalkeeper Guida does a great job to parry that one out. U.S. continue to pile the pressure on in the last 15 minutes. Jonathan Lewis missed an absolute sitter after a great delivery from Tanner Tessman, and yeah, Jonathan Lewis, he had a shocker of a game, and this is kind of a game that maybe explains why he usually doesn't get starting minutes by whoever MLS team that he is in. And I bet the Rapids probably saw this game and they probably say, yep, yeah, this is the reason why we don't give him regular minutes, because it's just these kind of important game, and these kind of performance is just not good enough to usually be a starter for our team. And really, you know, looking back at this moment, I feel like Jonathan Lewis forgot that he was actually with the U.S. men's national team, or in this case the US U23 team, and not with the Honduras U23 team, because the way that he was trying to tap this one in, I mean, he did kind of got himself crossed up when he was trying to tap this in, but the way that he tried to tap it in, almost like he was trying to clear the ball away and was playing defense for the Honduran U23 team. So yeah, that was definitely not a great moment for him. Although after that, I thought Honduras started to try to attack, and I thought maybe Honduras was just going to sit in a deep block and trying to hold on to this game. But credit to them, they didn't decide to do that, and they decided to try to get that third goal to pretty much shut the door in this game. Then in stoppage time, Johnny had a free header, but unfortunately he hits wide. Johnny is another guy that has not had a great tournament whatsoever, and although this one he might have got shielded by Aaron Herrera, who was going with the same header, and maybe that kind of distracted Johnny to try to put this one on target. He has to do much better in that. Like, he had a free header in that point, and the fact that he doesn't even put anywhere close to our target is just absolutely shocking. But that being said, that was really the final chance that the U.S. had in this game, as in the end, the U.S. fall 2-1 against Honduras and once again miss out on the Olympics for this upcoming Olympics in Tokyo. And, you know, when you look at how this game play out, you know, there's no question that they deserve to not make it to the Olympics, and that you know, one of the biggest issue coming into this Olympics, no doubt, is the goal scoring and also the creativity of this team. And that when I saw that roster that Jason Christ basically put, I was very worried. The fact that Jason Christ decided to select so many D mids and so many number 6s, and that he was trying to implement them to be kind of like an 8, or even in some case being a 10 player, to be the creative player of the teams, when they're clearly not that when they were played in their club level. That just makes me worry about where the goals has come. And at the end of the tournament, my worry kind of came true, and that, yeah, I think, you know, right now a lot of people are going to be angry about Jason Kreis in terms of his selection, and rightfully so, because of the way that he kind of took a gamble in terms of bringing a lot of these D mid player, and hopefully he can implement him into those creative player. And at times it kind of showed that they could be implemented into that 8 or 10 role and could be the creative player for this US U23 team. But more times than not, we have seen how much the US have struggled on the attack, and yeah, it's just something that, you know, for future USU national team coach or future US U23 coach, when they of course make the selection, they gotta make sure they don't just always made a lot of defensive midfielder player and just kind of go safe heading into the tournament. You know, we knew that this US team for the past couple of years, the attack has always been one area that this team does struggle. So there's really no reason for them to always bring a lot of these D mid player that is not going to add anything to this attack. And yeah, in the end, unfortunately, those kind of fear that a lot of US fans had came true in this game, and now we just gotta have to wait 3 more years for another shot for this US to potentially qualify for the Olympics in Paris, and we'll see whether or not if they can of course do that. Also, another thing I will want to add is that this is also the reason why I've been always saying that I still are not 100% fully thinking that this US team is clearly shaking off the nightmare that they had in that 2017 game against Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, as much as I know the US for the past couple of friendlies, they've been blowing team out and been going on a winning streak. Win games does matter, and when it's kind of like a big stage game where this is a game where they need to qualify for the Olympics, and it's kind of like a do or die game. They just don't deliver, and you know, you can beat these lowerly opponent in a friendly match 7 or 6-0, but when you cannot win against and maybe around about the same team in a big stake kind of game like this, yeah, this is why I still think this team is not going to shake off the nightmare that they had in 2017, and the only way they can shake off that nightmare of not making the World Cup in that 2017 against Trinidad and Tobago is qualified for the World Cup for this upcoming season. And it just, again, this game does still continue to make me nervous that as much as I know people are saying that the US are probably going to make it to the World Cup, and that, you know, this squad is not an implementation of the main national team squad that is like at least 4 times better than what this squad has taken place. You never know when there is actually a high stake game like this where it doesn't matter what kind of quality of a squad it is. You know, it could be a squad full of these European player, or these European based US or these US player that's currently playing for a European club, and if they don't get the job done heading into this World Cup qualifying and qualify for the World Cup in 2022, it's going to be another major setback in terms of this federation and their vision that things are going to change with this team. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game in general, and what do you think the US is going to have to trying to brush this off, and how they're going to look in this World Cup qualifying. I'm really hoping they of course do much better in this World Cup qualifying compared to what happened in this Olympic qualifier, but we shall see if that is the case. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.